we had spent almost $20,000 developing these formulas that we just couldn't use. It's like learning a whole new business. Inventory management is something else entirely. They're very different businesses and they're run very differently. It's a great problem to have. Definitely would rather be chasing product in than chasing product out.
What would be the one, if you could only give one piece of advice to someone who's thinking about launching a product line, what would it be? Is creating your own product line really worth it? I know many of you have thought about creating your own product line, and at some point, sounds really exciting, right? Creating a product that is exactly what you want and it's what you need, not only for yourself, but also for your clients too. So, the founder of The Facialist, Ashleigh, is here with me on the podcast to talk about what she has learned in creating her own skincare line alongside running her already successful salon. But really quick, before we start, I want to let you know that this episode is brought to you by Shortcuts, your leading salon software provider. Shortcuts has an exclusive for Salon Owners Collective podcast listeners, which I'm going to share with you later in this episode. Okay, let's get into this episode. Here is our episode with Ashleigh. Should you create your own product line? Enjoy. Ashleigh, thank you so much for joining me on the Salon Owners Collective podcast. Very pleased to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
So before we get started, why don't you tell us, who are you, Ashleigh? Where do you live? Where is your salon? And how did you get to be owned?
Yeah, I own The Facialist, which is a facial studio in Auckland. I started it 10 years ago when I was 23. And it very much started off as a facial studio. It was just me in a room doing facials, and it has slowly grown over the last 10 years to be so much bigger than that. And now not only is it a facial studio, but it's also a store. We sell different skincare brands from all over the world, as well as our own products. So we have an e-commerce store and a physical store as well.
And how many in your team?
There is 12 of us total. So we have 7 girls in the salon and then about 4 of us in the office warehouse.
Great. Well, I'm really keen to dig into this idea of you developing your own product brand. I know a lot of salon owners think about the idea, but it can be daunting and it can be quite a big task. So why don't we start with what gave you the inspiration to develop your own brand in the first instance from being within your salon? Where did that idea start from?
Yeah, I've always been obsessed with skincare. I have a true obsession and passion with skincare and products. We have always stocked at the salon many different brands. I've never been a destination that just has 1 or 2 different brands. I've always been of the belief that there's not one brand out there that does everything for everybody and for all skins. So we have always curated lots of different products, and I've just always absolutely loved skincare. Um, I always thought that there wasn't a need for another skincare brand, and I was never about just creating something for the sake of it. There is so many incredible brands in the world that I was always more passionate about championing the ones that, that we stopped and bringing in new ones. Um, the real idea, I think, for starting our own came in lockdown. Obviously, like I'm sure many people can relate to, we weren't trading. We were actually still running our online store, which was a godsend. So that allowed us to have some revenue coming in. But we came to realize that the online store on its own, it didn't generate enough profit to be a viable business on its own, because we only stocked other people's brands. We had a much, much smaller margin on it. So when we were just running the store on its own without the salon, with no treatments going, we really saw what the true profit of that was and how much we were having to spend on marketing and on advertising versus the margin that we had. So that was, I think, where we really sort of started to play with the idea of doing our own products. We started off with just one product, just one hero product that we launched with. and had huge success with that straight off the bat, which was really cool. I think because we'd already been in business for about 7 years at that point. So we had a great following. We had a really loyal customer base. That product was instantly successful, which was amazing. And from there, that led me on to develop other products and add to our range. And we now have a full, well, a full products, but it's a full complete skincare routine in itself. Um, and I guess I really wanted to put in everything that I knew about skincare and everything that I loved from all of the products that I worked with. So all of the ingredients that I knew worked for our clients' skin, but I really wanted to achieve a more accessible price point because I think, especially just in this economy, and now people can't spend all the, $150, $200 plus on serums and moisturizers. So it was really important to me to create amazing, effective products at a more accessible price point, and that's what we've done.
I love that. That's really awesome. And I love the how brave you've been to go ahead and do that. So my next question really is like, what has been the most exciting and fun outcome of doing that? And then equally, what has been the biggest challenge in launching your own brand?
Yeah, both. It's been such a journey. It's truly like learning a new business. I thought that I knew how to run a business. I had been in business 7, 8 years by the time we launched our product. So I thought I knew how to run a successful business, but running a product-based business is so different. I think that the benefits of it have been huge for just the Facialist as a whole, as a brand. We have had so much more brand awareness. And I think for the product itself, it gives the product real credibility that we have the salon there as the backbone to it. So we already have clients that trust us and that know our reputation and how we can help them. So that I think has instantly given the products credibility, which has been great. But it's also been amazing just for the profile of the salon and growing that. The challenges I would say like I said, it's like learning a whole new business. Inventory management is something in else entirely. When you're stocking other products, other brands, you can order month by month and just order as you need, and often you can get top ups much quicker than that. But trying to forecast stock, and especially in such a new brand where we're growing so rapidly month on month, and you're trying to predict that level of growth and when you're going to sell out and planning for that. So we have continually this year been selling out of our best selling product. And that's been it's a great problem to have. Definitely would rather be chasing product in than chasing product out, but it's also incredibly stressful when you have sold out of your best selling product and you could be selling more, but you just don't have the inventory there. So I'm finally getting on top of it, but it's been a real challenge trying to learn something new.
I love that that is the good problem of all the problems, but it's a devastating one because, you have to point people in other directions and that certainly puts pressure on business for sure. Um, okay, well, I'm looking at your products now online. They look beautiful. What is the top selling product of all the ones that you have produced? Like, what is the hero?
Glow is our hero product. That was the product we launched with. That was our very first product. And I think it's such a hero because it slots into anybody's skincare routine. So that was, I guess, the reason that we started with that product as well, is somebody doesn't have to stop using the serum that they've always used and loved. They don't need to stop using that to try something new. It's a product that a lot of people weren't already using in their routine, but it makes a huge difference when you start. It's a face oil, I don't know if I said that, but once you start using this face oil in your routine, it makes a huge difference to your skin. So it was it's a real no-brainer, really easy add-on.
Okay, I love that. And so when it's a face oil, it's post routine, pre makeup. Where does it fit in the routine?
Yeah, it'll be the last step in your skincare routine before you go into makeup.
Okay, I love that. That's like such a super important um, step. Okay, I want to just go to product development now. How Tell us a little bit about the journey to find someone to do the manufacturing. Like that feels like a massive hurdle. What were the hard steps, and how did you settle on somebody?
Yeah, it is a process for sure. I think I've talked to a lot of people, I've been in this industry for a long time now. So, I've talked to a lot of people. I know who manufactures where and have had lots of recommendations. So I think that was a really helpful place to start is just talking to people and finding out their experiences. And from there, then testing. We had an I actually have another skincare company as well of children's products. And with developing those, we had first gone to another chemist, an independent chemist, to create our formulas and had a very interesting experience there where they created the most incredible formulas, just superb formulas. But when I took them to a manufacturer to get them made, the quotes for making them were astronomical, and we realized that it just wasn't a viable product. So we had spent almost $20,000 developing these formulas that we just couldn't use.
Hey, Larissa here, just popping in the middle of this episode because I wanted to check, one, are you enjoying this episode so far? Pretty good, eh? I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for joining me each week on this podcast, but super quick, I wanted to share some exciting news with you. Your leading salon software has an exclusive offer for you. And if you're listening to this Salon Owners Collective podcast episode, which clearly you are, hello, they are offering you implementation and onboarding of any of their salon software packages for free, only for you. Whether you need an all-in-one software to manage your business or you want to switch from your current salon software, Shortcuts is going to help you out. Now, you could save anywhere from $400 to $700 depending on the package that best suits your salon. So if you're excited, need software, wanted to change your software, I have the link for you in the show notes of this very episode. I'll pop the details there on how you can implement Shortcuts into your salon and get the exclusive Salon Owners Collective podcast offer just for you. All right, that's enough for me. Let's get back to the episode.
So I knew then going into developing the Facialist products, I had obviously learned from that experience. And so going in with all of your information in the first step, knowing what you want to sell your product for, and then understanding what cost you need to achieve and having it made so that when you're briefing your formulators, they have all the information and you're not having to go back and redo it all later on. So having really clear briefs once you get to that stage. I think I've also known exactly how I want my products to perform. I know the texture I want, I know the ingredients I want in them. So I give very detailed briefs to our formulators, and I work very closely with our formulator to create these formulas. And it's actually just a really fun process. I think when you, like I said, I'm obsessed with skincare, so I have loved the journey of formulating the products. It's been really fun.
I think it's fascinating and rightly so, to be conscious of positioning and price right up front. Like that makes a lot of sense, and I can see how that's not um, intuitively the first step because you're wanting to create something that's going to transform for people. We don't normally go in with price first when we're thinking that, but I can see commercially that's a really important step. So that's super
It
valuable.
is. Knowing your margins is so important, and knowing if you're gonna wholesale or if you're just selling yourself, because, you have to understand from the beginning if you need to work in a wholesale margin into the costs. You've gotta sort of start where you intend to end up, because it's so much harder to change the pricing and change those things later down the line. So it's really important to know that from the beginning. And for me, like I said, it was really important to create products that were a more accessible price point. So all of our products are under $90. And that was very intentional because I do believe that you can create highly efficacious formulas with incredible, but high powerful ingredients at that price point. So it was really intentional from the beginning that we had that price point and we were able to achieve that.
That's great. What's the one thing you're most proud of in this whole journey that you've achieved to date?
So much. I think what's really special when I started this journey, when I started the Facialist 10 years ago, it really started in creating a job for myself. I had just moved back to Auckland from living in London, and I was looking for a job. And at the time, there was no salons in New Zealand that really worked the way that I wanted to work. you had to be a beauty therapist. You had to do all of the jobs, the waxing and the nails and the facials and all of it. There was nowhere that really specialized just in doing facials and doing them in a more natural way that I was had come to learn. So it really started by creating a job for myself, and I'm so proud now to have created jobs for so many other people who, our girls are just as passionate as me about what they do, and so to have 7 of them in the salon, they get to do what they love every day is really cool. So I think just the fact that we have, created a dream job for so many people, it's really special.
Yeah, I love that. To give us a little bit of insight into how you juggle essentially 2 different businesses, because I know that's no easy feat. You're trying to develop a product, create the product, sell the product, deliver the product, but you've also got 7 humans that are serving clients. What is your infrastructure or your management strategy? Like, how do you juggle all of the things, Ashley?
It's hard. Yeah, it's so hard because they're very different businesses and they're run very differently. Right now, we're in such a growth phase, and we're kind of at the point where we need to hire about 4 or 5 more people to facilitate the workload, but we don't have the budget to do that. We're completely self-funded. So it's always a juggle in a small business like this where you need the manpower, but you can't always invest in it straight away. So I would say we're in a very tricky point at the moment where we do really need more support, especially in those management roles. And hopefully next year we'll be able to hire some of them. But right now I just juggle my time. I have an amazing manager in the salon who is just incredible and keeps the show running there. She's great with the girls. She really understands the business as well. So I just manage my time in between our office and warehouse, which is off-site. So I'll often just be popping between both and just keeping my hand in both where I can, but I definitely couldn't do it without having such a great team in the salon who a lot of them have been there for a number of years and really understand the business and I trust completely. So that has really allowed me to be able to step out day to day and to be able to work on the skincare and to focus on growing that because that is really what needs my attention most at the moment.
Mm, mm. Okay. Before we wrap up, Ashley, what would be the one, if you could only give one piece of advice to someone who's thinking about launching a product line, what would it be?
Oh, there's so much. I think just knowing from the beginning what you want to achieve, I think having that really clear vision. I think I've always had a very strong with any of my businesses, a really strong vision of what I wanted to create. And it's very easy to get sidetracked from that as you're going on your journey, and that's so normal. But to have that strong vision that you can always come back to so that, whenever you start to stray off track, you can always come back to what you set out to create in the beginning.
Okay, wise words. Traditionally, we would ask you at the end of the podcast, what is a quote or a mantra that keeps you focused or sane as a business owner? What are your thoughts around that?
I have this belief. I've always done a lot of work on my mindset, and I think it's so important in business to have a good mindset. And it wobbles sometimes, like when everything turns upside down, of course. But I've always done a lot of work on my mindset, and I was thinking the other day how I just have this innate belief. Something that I say to myself is that everything will always work out, and I truly believe that. And I think that. I guess in some ways I'm probably quite lucky to be able to think like that, but whenever something goes wrong and it feels like a massive thing and that it's not gonna work out, I just tell myself that it is all gonna work out, and it always does, it always does. One thing I remember from the earlier days when I had my first staff and I couldn't pay payroll that week, I had my payroll bill was tiny then compared to what it is now, but I just knew that payroll was coming out that night and I didn't have enough money in our bank account to pay that payroll. And I was like, I just need one person to walk through the door now or to buy something online to just let me pay payroll that week. And about an hour later, someone phoned and booked and prepaid up front for an appointment. I was like, that's what I needed. So I think Yeah, totally. I think it's really easy to catastrophize things and make them a much bigger deal than they are. So yeah, I think just having a really strong mindset and always believing that, things will work out and it will all happen.
Agree, and it gives so much, calmness and confidence when you can think like that, for sure.
Yeah,
All right,
definitely.
well, I really appreciate you coming to join us, share your journey, it would be really great. I know people are gonna wanna stalk you and find you. Do you wanna give us your dub so we know where to find you?
Yeah, we're at thefacialist.co.nz and on Instagram at thefacialist_.
Amazing, and congratulations on your huge success, and good luck through the growth period because that's always challenging, but everything will work out all right. And that's a wrap. Thanks, Ashleigh. I'd love to know how many of you are going to go and start brainstorming product ideas and start researching chemists. I know you thought about it. I know you would have found Ashleigh's advice super helpful, super beneficial, especially when it comes to starting with the end at mind. Like, there's no point putting all of these incredible ingredients and fancy packaging into a product that's going to be sky high in cost. Like, always go in with price in mind first. All right, one piece of my own advice I want to say before you get too creative and run away with a shiny idea. I have this philosophy is like one product, one service, one business till you reach the $1 million mark. Do not go and launch another business until you hit the $1 million mark. Like, if you can hit the $1 million mark, freaking high five to you. That means you've got enough systems and processes in place to be able to step away and turn your focus onto something else. Many of you think, oh, I'll just do it as a side hustle, or I'll just split my time. My business doesn't need me that much. But hang on, prove to me that you can do the $1 million business first and then you can go and create whatever you like. Anyway, I'm super excited to see your takeaways. Thanks, Ashleigh. That's all from me. Same time, same place next week on the podcast. Ciao for now.